If you find yourself frequently bemoaning the fact that your city doesn't have a vast underground transit system and you think, well, maybe you could make it yourself and design it, how hard could it be? One game of Next Station London from Blue Orange Games just might cure that, because it's at least for me, it's a little more difficult than it looks. In Next Station London, players are given what I'm told is a map of London, but it realistically could be a map of the very city that I live in, which says more about me than it does the actual game design. And with their individual maps, they are tasked with marking and creating subway stations, 4 subway stations. There are 4 rounds in the game, and in each round, every player will create 1 system. And each of these systems has its own specific color. So as the game goes, you're marking up a map with 4 distinct colors to create 4 separate lines. And each of these colored pencils corresponds to a starting location. Each round you're going to create a subway line in an attempt to earn the most points at the end of the game. Cards are flipped displaying shapes or special symbols, and on a turn, all players simply expand their line or choose to pass. Starting each round at the indicated space for your pencil, you simply draw a line from one end of your current line to one of the shapes indicated by the card that was just flipped. You can't cross lines except when interjecting through stations. 5 of the cards in the deck are pink, and once those cards are all flipped, the round ends. You tally your score and pass your pencils to the left, and then you do it all over again for a total of 4 lines. The map is broken into 13 districts. You multiply all the districts you entered by the number of stations you managed to connect to each round in the district with the most connected stations. You also earn points by having multiple different lines go into the same station and crossing the River Thames multiple times. Oh, also there are tourist destinations that you can also earn points. First things first, this is a real... The game is simpler than I anticipated. When I consider taking in a game for review, I oftentimes will pull up a rules PDF even before I get the actual game. And Next Station London's rulebook is meaty. It's intimidating for what it actually is. But once you sit down and play a round or two, everything makes sense. Everything falls into place. And while that's generally not a hallmark of a table slapper in my opinion, the fact is if somebody knows how to play this game, I think that it can be taught verbally and in person much easier than it can be taught simply by reading the rulebook. The rulebook has to accommodate for the fact that you can earn points a number of ways, and realistically playing the game and looking at the score sheet, those ways don't seem that bad when you're actually playing. But reading through the rules, they have to cover specific instances, and so the rulebook is a bit daunting to its detriment, because it's not a difficult game. The inclusion of 4 different colored pencils is interesting and fun. There's something about drawing on a sheet of paper that makes the whole roll and write genre so interesting. And this isn't just putting numbers into squares, it is physically mapping out specific subway underground lines. And using those different colors, it really gives sort of an air of flavor to it. And it's cool, it's fun. Now, if you're like me and you're inclined to laminate sheets for these types of roll and write games, you have to bear in mind the fact that you're going to need 4 different colored pens for it. A small quibble, and the fact is that the amount of sheets that are included in this game are numerous and they're double-sided. So running out of sheets in this game, it's probably not going to happen in the near future. You're going to get your money's worth if you're just burning through using the pencils and papers as they're intended. But you can laminate it, and you can buy a 4-pack of pens that are different colors, and it will work just fine. And that's what I'm doing. It's got a satisfying solo mode, and even in that sense, the game itself plays quickly in about 15-20 minutes. There's also 2 separate modules that you can include to increase the difficulty or the variability of the gameplay. Both those modules are interesting. They add powers to the specific pencils, and they add shared goals to earn potentially more points. Neither module is difficult, but both of them add a significant amount of variety to a game that's already pretty interesting and changes every time that you play. When I take in a game to review, I generally take a look at it. I check out the rulebook and I see, is this something that I think that I'm going to enjoy? There's a reason for that. I don't get paid for this. This is something that I enjoy doing as a hobby. And the fact of the matter is, it's not fun when I take in a game that I anticipate not liking. So I went into this with an idea that I thought that I was going to enjoy this. And I'm happy to say that Next Station London blew my expectations away. It's a game that I've been playing quite a bit of lately, and a game that has been enjoyed by everyone that I've introduced it to. So Next Station London for Blue Orange Games is a big thumbs up for me, something I really enjoyed. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you'd like to follow me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media at Plumpy Thimble, in particular Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you very much.